Alright, how's it going everyone? Today we're going to be talking about how to build your own ROM hack for a Gen 5 game, so in black or black 2, white 2. We're going to be going over how to change encounters this time. So last time we went over trainers and how to deal with changing trainer data and trainer pokies. Now we're going to be going over how to do your own encounters, how to remap encounters, how to add encounters to Pokemon centers or extra areas, and basically everything you'd ever want to do with that. So if that's what you're here for, stick around the whole video. I'm going to go in everything in great detail. So yeah, let's get to it. So we have, the first thing we want to do is go into the downloads folder that I have linked in the description. And there's a Google Drive that has all of the hacking tools you'll ever need. I didn't make these, but these are made by the community, and I've just compiled them for your ease. And so we're going to use mainly the Gen 5 Encounter Editor here. So we'll go into this folder. It says BWWE. That's your Wild Encounter Editor. So it takes a second to open, and once it does, you're faced with this thing right here. So we have this button that says Open Narc, and so we're going to need the narc that corresponds to the encounters in the game. And so the way ROM hacks work is they have one file that's dedicated just to all of that data. So it says nicely in the corner, black, white 2, narc A127, so we're going to have to get that narc out of our ROM. So for purpose of demonstration, I'm going to use my own ROM hack, black 2 Kaizo, since I have changed all these things in there, and you'll be able to see exactly like how to do it better. So we're going to want to first use Tink to get that narc that we so desire. And so we're going to go to wherever our narc is, or our file is. So for me it's black 2 Kaizo, and I'm going to open this, and we're going to get the narc we need. So A127, okay, extract, and I'm going to put that in my tutorial folder. I have the an older one here, so I'm just going to delete that. Delete, and I'm going to call this encounters.narc. It's important to put that .narc at the end of it. It's just easier for your computer to find it later. So save it. Alright, we're done with Tink. Next, we're going to go to our encounter editor, hit open narc, and open this. So it should be in whatever folder you saved it in. So I recommend making a folder for every narc file, because if you do want to do version control, you want them all in the same folder. So do that, open encs.narc, do that, open it up, boom. Now we can start editing stuff. So a couple things to note about this editor is that things are listed with a map ID. So there's 135 of them, and they're also listed as actual places with a labeled name on it. Some things to note is that some of these names are a little bit off. So Sangri Ranch is actually not Sangri Ranch, it's Floxy Ranch. Some of them are a little bit off, like Reverse Mountain is Reversal Mountain, but like you get the point. You can pretty usually find what these things are. So one thing to note that's really important, so let's say you're doing black 2, white 2, and you want to start editing Route 19. So that's the first encounter route that you get. So right after Spursha City, where you start the game. So let's just take a look at this. I have mine edited already. Normally these things have like Patrat or other like Route 1 birds or whatever, like Pidove. And so you can click and it'll make a drop-down menu. So let's say I wanted like Arceus in this route for some reason, because I'm a masochist. So Arceus, don't hit tab, because it sometimes won't save. It's really weird. Sometimes I don't know why these editors have these weird glitches, but don't do that. What you want to do is type in, so let's say I wanted Victini instead, Victini, and then I'll just click right here, and it'll do that. I've had problems where like I've hit tab before and it hasn't like saved it right. So don't hit tab, don't hit enter, like actually manually click on it. It's a little annoying, but that's the way it is. So let's say we actually wanted to do our Arceus, for the sake of showing you how to change forms. It's pretty simple. There's a form number right here, and it has this really nice form list. So if I want to look at my Arceus forms, let's say I wanted it to be like Bug Arceus on the first route, I just say this is 6. Boom, we're done, and we'll be able to find it in the wild. And then you want the min and the max level. I'm not really sure how it distributes the levels between, but these are just your min or max level. I usually keep them pretty tight, maybe like 3 to 5 or whatever for your first route. And you have your tall grass, which is your darker grass. It doesn't exist on Route 19, so it's blank. And then you have your shaking grass. You can't get shaking grass before Charon, so this doesn't really matter here. But for later encounters, this does matter. So let's take a look at like Victory Road. This is a cave, so you won't have any tall grass. And actually, interestingly enough, this doesn't have any shaking grass. Another thing that will have all three of them will be the outdoor part of Victory Road. So you'll have grass, shaking grass, or tall grass and shaking grass. And so you need to put all these things in for every single map you do. So it can get kind of tedious because you have to type it all in, but like you only have to do it once. So not terrible. One thing that you should be aware of is something like Route 20. You'll see that this box right here is no longer grayed out. This, if we look at like Route 19, is grayed out. If we go to 20, it's not. So there's 4 different sub encounters files for this. So you're going to need to look at spring, you're going to need to look at summer, you're going to need to look at autumn, and you're going to need to look at winter. Because I had to manually change all of these. So you're going to want to do that too. So if you ever notice that this thing is not grayed out, you have to go through and change it. So you have to do 4 times the work. It's really annoying. But only very few maps are actually like this, so it's not a big deal. I've had it so that I forgot to do this, and all of a sudden the season changed, and I was getting my vanilla encounters, and I'm like, why is it happening? It's because I didn't change this. So that's one thing you definitely need to note. So now that's like the basics. It's really easy. Just plan out your encounters, change your levels, change what Pokemon are there. One thing to note is that you have to put them in slots: 20, 20, 10, 5, 4, and 1. You can't change that. So if you want something with like 15, you put it in 10 and in 5 and in 1. So like you see how I have Bulbasaur and a bunch of them. Bulbasaur has 6% encounter rate. So it doesn't give you a ton of freedom, but like you can mix and match pretty decently. Typically I like to keep things at no less than 10% encounter rate. Otherwise you never really see them, but that's just a personal preference. So that's the basics. Now we're going to want to do some more advanced stuff, like adding grass and encounters to places that didn't have it already. So if you want to actually do this with some glam, you would go into a map editor and you would add some grass. Adding grass into a map file, it doesn't actually change anything. You have to actually change the encounters, and you have to change each map's encounter reference file. So I'm going to get into that in a second. So once we have all of this done, we can keep this to the side because you're going to want to know what map ID things are. So let's take a look at Reverse Mountain. So this is my outside Reversal Mountain. So there's an area outside, and then you go inside the cave, and there's other encounters in there. So inside I have a bunch of dragon types. So let's take a look at something that's really important, which is SDSME. I know people don't like this editor, but it's the only one that really does this well for Gen 5 games. I know people like DSPRE is better, but you can't use DSPRE for Gen 5. So we're going to load our ROM real quick. So let's go into our Black 2 Kaizo. We're going to open this up. And so we're going to need a couple tools to actually figure out what we're doing here. So it takes a while to load it. You see it says loading ROM down here. So while it's doing that, I'm also going to open up CTR map. That's the other tool you're going to need. CTR map is a pretty good editor for doing overworld editing. It's pretty user friendly. The only thing is it's really bad at scripting because it will just nuke your scripts randomly. So take that as you will. It's good for some things. So we're going to launch CTR map. Give it a second. So we're going to add games first. So I've been working with a lot of versions, so yours will be blank. So we're going to add ROM right here. A source ROM path. I'm going to hit browse. And I'm going to open up Black 2 Kaizo full release. So this is the recent one, recent version that I'm working with. I'm going to open this, and I'm going to hit confirm. So it's going to extract all that game data, make a little copy of it so that you can edit it. Now we're going to go to projects, and we're going to go File, and we're going to go Create New Project, and we're going to scroll down to the most recent one, so the one at the very bottom, because that's the one we just created. Now we're going to go Project Path, and we're just going to make a new folder. So I have a bunch of folders just for my CTR map, so I'm going to make this one in, where are we? Alright, we're going to make this in tutorial, and so we're going to make this new, so CTR map encounter demo. So we're going to click on that. Okay. So initialize projects, and then we're going to open this project. And so now we're loading up CTR map with that NDS file. So just hit confirm on that. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to want to look for a Pokemon Center. So you'll notice that none of these zones, they're all just like repeats. So we have things like Castelia City a billion times. They're all different parts of Castelia City, for instance, but the matrix is what matters. This is what actual, like, you'll see in a second what matrices are, but they're basically where the map is located. So let's go down to something like Aspertia City. So this is Aspertia City, 427, and if we go to World Editor, boom, we're in the world. We can zoom around, take a look at the top-down view. And if we want to find where the Pokemon Center is, first you go to this button up here that says Warp Tool, and I want to click. We can zoom in. I can click on this warp right here. That'll obviously send me into the Pokemon Center. And then we're going to look at the target zone right here. That is 437, or 435. We're going to go here and go 435. Okay, that's the Aspertia City Pokemon Center. We go in there, and then we go to World Editor. Boom. Okay, here we are. So now we have ourselves the Pokemon Center. I, in my game, like to put grass on the second floor. I like to have it be invisible, so you can't see it until you step on it, so it's not ugly. But then when you step on it, you can see that you're in it. So that's what our goal is going to be here. I'm going to show you how I do that. So we're going to go to Zone Loader, and we see that the matrix is 13. So what does this mean? The game is referencing the same map file every time you go into a Pokemon Center, but it just has different NPCs in it. It doesn't have a billion different Pokemon Center map like data stored. It's only one map, and it just creates that different area for you using the same one. So if you went to any different Pokemon Center, this would always be 13, right? So anywhere you want to edit this, 13. So what we need to look at is our encounters. Now normally, this encounters will say -1, which means there's no encounter there. So like if I went to, like, 434, you'd see this encounters as -1. It's probably just some other building. And it is, there's no encounters in a building, but because I want there to be encounters, I have changed this encounter file to reference my encounters 15. So let's go back into our editor here, go to map ID. So we're not going to search by this anymore. We're going to go to map ID, which is 15, and you'll see that this is this is one of the relic castles. Actually, I don't remember which one I put it in. I think it's one of these. So I said 15. Okay, so I guess it's Relic Castle 4. Yeah. Yep. So these are my fire. I have fire encounters in the first Pokemon Center. So the way I do this is I'm not using Relic Castle 4 because I am mapping all of my encounters to just Relic Castle 1. So all my Relic Castle 1, these are the things I put in there, a bunch of ground and like psychic types, and I think a little bit of fire types there. And so if we go to Relic Castle in our CTR map editor, we'll realize that they all reference map ID 12. So if you change map IDs around, it changes which encounter file each map is using. So I want encounter 15, which is, I think, Relic Castle like 4, yeah. And so since I'm not using this for anything, it's not referenced anywhere else, I can just reuse these encounter files for other things I need, like Pokemon Centers or other towns that need grass in them. So basically, find this 15, change it here 15 in your CTR map, and then you're going to be able to just change what you want here. Just put everything down in grass, since we're going to be using grass tiles. And now we are going to want to use Spikey's DS map editor. So now that it's loaded, it's probably been loaded for a little bit, but we're going to use it. So matrix editor is what we want. So let's go find matrix editor, and we're going to search matrix 0. Okay, but we know we are in matrix 13, and so it comes up with this one little map right here, and you can probably guess if we double click on it, since it's to the map editor, boom, it is the Pokemon Center, and it looks kind of wonky, but if we go to move permissions, now we are actually getting into the nitty gritty of how to change things. So let's go back and take a look at this map right here, and compare it to what we have here. So it looks pretty similar. We have our little staircase that goes up. I have already put my grass in here, and so I'm going to show you how to do that real quick. So there's two things you're going to want to change. You're going to want to change flags and movements. So those are the two things that will give you the effect that we're looking for. So flags is telling you what happens when you step on that tile. Obviously at 0, nothing happens, it's just walking around. 01 right here, red, obviously you can't walk through walls. So there's a move permission associated with that. You can't walk through that, and that's how they make these things in the game. That's how Game Freak does it. They just have it so you can't phase through anything that has 01 on it. And so what we're going to do is we're going to change these 00s to 04s. So what you're going to do is go to Paint, and you're going to go 04, and you're going to hit Toggle, and then you're going to click, and boom, it makes it a 4. So that's great. So boom, 4, 4, 4. And if you want to change it back, you just go 0, and you just click on them, boom, done. So you can change tiles to be grass encounters or not. Now, that doesn't actually change what it looks like in the overworld. It just means that if I step on this tile, I might get an encounter, which is, if you don't see the grass there, that's a little bit weird. You're just going to accidentally get encounters if you're playing the game. That's not going to be very nice. So we're going to go to movements. Sorry, I'm getting over being sick. And we're going to go to movements, and if we do 24, what it does is whenever you step on it, it shows like the little grass moving animation. So typically in the overworld, you just see a bunch of static grass tiles. They're just sitting there. But when you move over them, it makes a like poof sound on the grass, like you're like stepping through it. So you'll see it only when you step on it. So if you've ever seen the ROM hack Black Deikaizo, you know what I'm talking about. It looks really nice. So this is 24. So we'll just go to 24, and we'll just put 24 on any of these that we want. And so that if we put 04 and 24 as I have right here, then we're going to be having the effects we want. And actually this should be 80 by default. Sorry, don't make these 0 like I did. Okay, so you'll have 04 for flags and 24 for movements. And you're all set. If you want to make your own custom ones, you can go look at a map with a cave in it and change it to just a cave encounter. I just like to explore with what the map editor has to offer, so if we go and look for other different tiles, I'm not going to explain what all of them do right now, it's kind of a lot, but this is just the basics. So what you want to do is you'll want to hit save current and then save ROM. So you want to export it exports a new ROM for you. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm already done with this ROM hack. So go ahead and save it. You'll be done. And now once you have the encounter references to the right file, you've added the grass, now you'll be able to actually get those encounters. So let's just go take a look at what it looks like. If we walk in here, notice that there's no grass up there. You can't see any grass because there's no map edit. But when you start walking in it, you see that there's grass, and if you run around, boom, an encounter happens. And this is my second gym, or second Pokemon Center, so I have a bunch of rock types in there. So there you go. You have you have your encounters. So you can change encounters like that, and I'll also show you when you go to change your encounters in the game, like for Route 19, like I was showing you, you'll see them right here. Boom, Cleffa. That's great. We'd hope to see a Cleffa since I put it there. And yeah, so that's really all you're going to be doing for encounters. It's not that difficult. It's just very tedious because there's a lot of encounters in the game. So I hope this tutorial helped. And if you want me to go over other things in ROM hacking, let me know in the comments. And I hope you have a great day.